Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. Last week Xiaomi announced the brand new Mi 11. Now this device is powered by the Snapdragon 888 and in the US it's the same conversation going on with the S21, the S21 Ultra as well as the S21 Plus. In today's video I want to talk to you guys about the top 5 reasons why the Mi 11 is a better choice than the S21 and the S21 Plus. I'm not covering the S21 Ultra because I feel like the Mi 11 Pro will be basically a good competitor in that market. This is TK. Let's go ahead and check out the top 5 reasons why I think the Mi 11 is a better choice. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so they're always notified too whenever we have new videos on the channel. So what I have in front of us is the Samsung Galaxy S21. This is the Qualcomm variant. There is a version with the Exynos 2100. And on the left, we have the Mi 11 that is pretty much available only in the Snapdragon 888 version. Now we're going to cover about 5 reasons why I believe that the Mi 11 is a better choice than what we get with the S21, at least in early 2021, before price cuts and everything. So the first thing we'll talk about obviously is screen display size. We get a 6.2-inch display here on the S21, a 6.7-inch on the S21 Plus, and they're flat displays. There's no curvature on the display, so you're pretty much getting just basically a flat panel. It is an AMOLED panel. It is a 1080p resolution at 120 Hertz, and there's no QHD resolution anymore on the standard models. That pretty much is reserved to the Ultra. When we look here, essentially, there's only one version of it at the Mi 11, and this one is actually available at a 6.8, about the same size as the S21 Ultra. But the main benefit here is that this is a QHD resolution at 120 Hertz. And of course, you can still tune it down if you want to. The main difference again here is that bigger display and a much more affordable price, as opposed to what we get here. And keep in mind they're both AMOLED, as opposed to a 1080p 120, we're getting a QHD 120, and that's going to be the biggest difference. And last but not least is a slight curvature available here on the display. So if you favor a curved display, this is definitely going to be a little bit of a better solution for you. So larger display, and of course higher resolution as opposed to the entry levels that we get from the S21. Since I'm comparing them both together, the Exynos 2100 as well as the Snapdragon 888 perform overall roughly about the same when we look at the benchmarks on this device. So the next thing we're going to talk about is charging capability and battery capacity. Now, in the box, the S21 line of devices do not include a charger, but they support a 25-watt charger that is going to be the maximum charging resolution. So when you're buying a Samsung device, you need to also factor in another $20 to $30 or euros to be able to pick up a charger, again, at the 25-watt. Xiaomi decided that at least in the global edition of this, they're going to include the wired charger, and that's going to be a 55-watt charger that will basically charge up our 4600 milliampere battery. The S21 has a 4300 milliampere, the S21 Plus goes up to 48. Here we're kind of in between, but we have 55-watt wired charging as well as 50-watt wireless charging, both supporting reverse wireless charging. So from a technology standpoint, the battery capacity is comparable to the other devices, but the charging capabilities here are definitely much faster and much faster also on wireless charging, up to 50 watts with a supported charger, of course. But in the box, you get the charger here, and here you don't. You have to pay extra for it. So that's another factor that you want to pay attention to. Now let's talk about the cameras and, of course, the highest resolutions we're able to shoot with these cameras. We have a 10 megapixel sensor on the front as opposed to a 20 megapixel sensor on the front. Although we have a 4K 60 frames per second here, on the Mi 11 we only have 1080p 60 frames per second. So that's something to keep in mind. The front-facing camera cannot shoot a UHD video. On the back-facing sensor, where it comes a little bit different here. We have a 108 megapixel sensor here as the primary shooter, as opposed to a 12 megapixel sensor here that we have on the right. The wide angles here on the Mi 11 is a 13 as opposed to a 12. Now a 6 megapixel telephoto macro lens here as opposed to a 64 telephoto lens, although keep in mind with different crop factors. 8K 24 frames per second to 8K 30 frames per second, 4K 60 frames per second is pretty much across the border, and still believe basically the best shooters on any device are always going to be on the back-facing sensors, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of give the Mi 11 a little bit of an edge when it comes down to basically overall flexibility of what you can do. Both of them support in-display fingerprint sensor, but again, keep in mind the sensors that you're getting here and of course the maximum resolution. So when it comes to that, I will leave it up to you, but I still kind of believe that the Mi 11 provides us a little bit more flexibility. So here's a quick front-facing sample on the brand new Mi 11. There's a little bit of wind going on behind me, and of course some of the AI processing to be able to focus the audio on the actual subject. So again, a good example on the front-facing camera. Let's go ahead and switch over to the back. The camera on the back, of course, can shoot all the way up to 8K 30 frames per second. There's a lot of different movie modes that are also built into the Mi 11, all the way from kind of like different panoramic images that I'm showing you guys right now that I took from the beach a few days ago. And those are very unique, very good cinematic functions that we're able to get with the Mi 11. Again, I can't wait to see what they put in the Mi 11 Pro. We're going to start off with the front-facing camera on the S21. Again, very much the exact same experience on the S21 Plus. The main difference is I'm using them at the same thing, arm's length, but we can go all the way up to 4K or UHD at 60 frames per second. And of course, we're doing an audio-video test here. Let's go ahead and switch over to the primary sensor on the back. Now, on the back-facing sensor, we're capable of going all the way up to 4K at 60 frames per second or even 8K at 24 frames per second. That's going to be the benefit of what we get here. But this is a good example of how the video and the audio are on the brand new S21 and S21 Plus. Now, when it comes down to the price, at the end of the day, we're going to start looking at, again, 849 euros starting price for the S21 Exynos model in Europe. In the US, it's about $800. So again, roughly about the same price. The Mi 11 actually starts at 749 euros, so that's something to keep in mind. So there's actually a much bigger difference here, because when you translate that into the US market, it's about $900. Although in the US, technically, the S21 is cheaper than the S21 in Europe, because again, it's $800 as opposed to the 850 euros. The S21 Plus, though, goes up all the way to $1,000 US or 1,050 euros, which is definitely a lot more than what you're paying here. But again, keep in mind the different functionalities that you're looking for. My goal in this video was to show the benefit of what the Mi 11 is providing us here. It starts off at 750 euros, and it goes basically against what you get with the S21 at 800 or even the S21 Plus at 1,000 euros. So when you compare those type of experiences and what you're getting here, I feel like that the Mi 11 provides us a much better bang for the buck type of an experience. Larger display, better resolution display, stereo speakers. We still have an IR blaster built in here. All of the main things that you get with MIUI 12 as well as Android 11. They're both running the same OS. So again, if you're thinking about picking up an S21, I really think Xiaomi is giving Samsung its run for its money when it comes down to the standard and the Plus model. When it comes down to the Ultra, once the Mi 11 Pro comes out, I feel like that comparison will be made there. But at this point, again, I hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below as usual. And again, I'll see you guys in the next video.